Oh, thank you for coming on. I'm super excited to share more about you and some of the journey you've had in finding the place in the belly dance industry, right? And we're always kind of refinding things, and we'll be discussing that soon. Hi, Alia. So let me just
Oh
go ahead
yeah.
and give you a quick little intro about Roxxanne Shelaby for those of you that may have heard of her but may not know her, or maybe you've never heard of her, and this is going to be a really great resource for you. So Roxanne has been dancing since she was in the womb, basically. Let's be real. She grew up in an Arabic nightclubs. There's the whole documentary on it. She watched dancers her whole life because of that. And she started dancing professionally at 16 years old at the request of Farida family, which, if you do not know who that is, please look it up. It's a humongous staple in our belly
Yes.
dance industry.
Yeah.
She produced the first Fez documentary, or the Fez documentary, sorry.
Mhm.
She's a dancer, an instructor, an event producer, and a documentarian, which is a really unique and fun role and perspective, and something you don't come across that often nowadays. And so this is her, Miss Roxanne. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. And I have a lot to share. So
We are excited to listen. Before we dig into some of like the nitty gritty, just a little bit background on me for some of you that may not know. I've been dancing for
mhm.
18 years. I started as a young adult and I've done a ton of roles and I'm always refiguring it out from event producer to booker to author to coach, designer, interviewer, the whole shebang. So we'll be sharing about that as well. And the goal of
Awesome.
Let's Talk is to talk about the hard things, the things that happen behind the curtain. So by all
Mhm.
means, if you have anything to comment or say or share, please do. We will talk all about the tea. So
Mhm.
when we think about finding your place in this belly dance industry, what exactly does this mean for someone that may be listening that they just started a class? They don't even know about the industry, let's say, yet. So what do students and peers often say? Like, what is finding your place in the industry? What do you mean by role?
You know, I'm so glad that you phrased it that way because I think about newer dancers when I'm thinking about this topic all the time
Mm.
because there's so much out there. Like I feel like dancers you go on social media and there's just you see everything that everybody is doing all over the world every minute of the day, and it can be overwhelming. I mean, for myself, who I've been in the dance world my whole life, I see that and it's just like, oh my God, well, I want to do that, I want to do this, well, maybe I should try this style, maybe I should do these costumes. There's just so much and it's so overwhelming that, like, how do you as a dancer find your place where you enjoy what you do, where you feel like you contribute, you're fulfilled artistically or personally, and you know fine tune and weed out all the noise, because there's a lot of noise.
Yes. There's a
You
lot
know what
of
I mean?
nowadays.
A lot of noise. So how do you find the place where you're happy?
Yeah. And to
You
on your note
know?
about social media even, because before, you were lucky if you had a VHS, right? There wasn't the internet like
Yeah.
that. And now you just see 100 zillion festivals, 100 zillion shows, 100 million
Yes.
features you otherwise wouldn't have heard of, which is the beauty. Like all these things are like, wow, this is great. It's a big world. And you're a little fish in a big world. But that's also hope too of like, oh my gosh, there's so many more people you can meet or connect with or avenues you can take. Like you said, if you just
Yes.
take away the noise.
And how do you do all those things in a meaningful way?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Because you can really get bogged down with trying to do it all and maybe not doing it well, or not exactly knowing what you're doing, but just jumping in because you saw it on social media or you saw somebody's video.
That's very
But
true.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's one of those things of you and I were chatting beforehand about remembering why you started to dance in the first place. And that can get really muddled and it
It
can
really
change
can.
and shift and you forget or maybe you lose it and then you find it again.
Yes.
It's
And
always.
And I know this is something that I struggle with. Like, I'm doing all my things, and then I see something that somebody else did on social media, and I'm like, I wanted to do that. Or why didn't I think of doing that? It's, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
for sure.
hard. It's hard. And so, I want to share some of my lifetime of experience, because, you did mention, and if you don't mind, I'll elaborate just a little bit, because I think it's important that you know who you're listening to and who you're studying with.
Mhm.
Um, my father's family is Syrian Lebanese. I grew up in that community. My father owned and my family owned an Arabic nightclub. So I spent every day of my life as a child listening to Arabic music live, which was a blessing, and watching belly dancing and being among the people of the culture. So I've seen a lot happen. I've seen dancers come and go. I've seen fads and trends come and go. And I've seen amazing things come to us as a dance world that I would have never imagined 20 or 30 years ago. So I feel like I've had this experience, and it's something that I deal with a lot. And how do I find my path and stay on a path that's authentic to me, that's
Mm,
meaningful to me, that is fulfilling to me, and that is not just about being like the newest and the hottest and the latest, and what often I think clouds our minds and our judgment. Do you know what I mean?
yes, all of this rings very true. I think the longer you're in it, the more of that you go through. It'll keep iterating as
For
you keep
sure.
doing it. And I think that's the thing that no one talks about. It's you start and you're like, oh, I'm just going to take a class and yay, I'm belly dancing. Woohoo. And for some people, that's the beginning and the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can be a belly dance student and enjoy yourself and never perform and just go to class and dance, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. And then those that continue on, then it becomes that whole process of like, oh, I didn't realize I'd be getting lost finding it, going back into it, we'll
Yes.
talk more about that. Eek!
Yes.
Just to give some
Um,
context. You were talking a little bit about like how you've gone through, finding your path and finding your own path. And I think for someone that may be listening, it's always nice to hear like a real story in your life that you've done it. So talk to me a little bit about even just like developing the MED lab. Tell me about that and how that was and finding your role in that and how did that all come about?
you know, it's interesting because I think when we become professionals and we want to have a career in this dance world, we start looking for things and we try different things.
Mhm.
And I've been lucky that I always say, just like, be open to the doors that are opening in your life, and it'll come to you. So med lab is one of those things that kind of fell into my lap. It stands for Middle Eastern Dance Lab. um, and at a point in time, maybe, I don't know, it might have been 10 or so years ago, I was teaching classes, and one time we went to a show at an Arabic nightclub, and my students made me aware that they had never been in a setting like that. Like, they had only ever gone to belly dance classes or
Gotcha.
belly dance festivals, and they had never been anywhere that was actually part of the Middle Eastern community,
Gotcha.
which was so foreign to me, because having grown up in a nightclub and going to church festivals and festivals in the community, to me the dance was part of the community and the culture, that
Mhm.
I couldn't believe that a dancer and dancers that I had known that had been dancing for a long time had never experienced that.
Okay.
So I decided, well, there's people out there that take their students on trips to Egypt and trips to Lebanon and trips to other places in the Middle East, which is really great and really important.
Yes.
But I said, not everybody can do that. And I have the good fortune of living in Los Angeles, where we have a very large Middle Eastern community. Middle Eastern, Persian, Armenian, Arab, so Turkish. So there's a lot available to us. So I said, what if I take my class on a trip just to an Arabic restaurant that has music and dancing? What if we go to one of those church festivals? And so I started like developing this um, tour
I love
that
it.
happens in our backyard.
I love it.
So
I love it. I love it.
yeah, it's accessible to people financially as well as physically. And so I started thinking, well, I need to kind of give dancers a heads up before we go out of like what to wear, what to say and what not to say, how to greet people, like these cultural points that are important.
Mm-hmm.
So this program developed into what would be like an online Zoom meeting before we would go on a trip so that I could explain what we were going to see and then also talk about what are you going to look for in dance. Like if we go to a church festival, let's say a Lebanese church festival, you're going to see dancers dancing dubki or people dancing dubki, or you're going to see women doing movements like this. So how do you be an observer and a learner in a cultural setting? So we
Mm.
would have that online meeting, then we would go on the field trip, so to speak,
Yeah.
and afterwards we would have a debrief because the whole point for me is to put you in that setting so you could see it for yourself and you could learn for yourself. So then dancers would talk about things that they saw, and a lot of the time it would be a learning experience for me because sometimes a brand new dancer or someone who doesn't know anything about the culture sees things that I don't see. So we
Mm.
would have those conversations. And then later it developed into like I would teach a cooking class about how to make hummus, and we would do
Oh.
movie nights and watch Arabic movies and talk about it. And so my whole goal is how do we bring the dance and connect it back to the culture? So
Mm-hmm.
how do dancers get an understanding of the culture so that they understand the dance better and that it informs their dance and they become better dancers? Because I think we, unfortunately, is in our dance community, so much of our dance learning happens outside of the culture.
Very
And
true.
people have no idea of how the two fit together. And so some of our best dancers, even here in the US, that started here, learned here, and became amazing dancers and teachers, did so because they started dancing in the culture and cultural uh, com- community
Right.
events
Mm-hmm.
that taught them and informed them and made them the dancers who they are. So it's been a really fun um, and important learning, I think, experience. The feedback I've gotten from people is that they really love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then people started asking me to do it all over the country. And I said, well, I can't do that because I only know my community. You know what I mean?
Ah, yeah.
If I'm taking you to places in the Arabic community, I might not know or you might not have those places in other cities around the US.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to do a little bit of a virtual option and I'm still playing with that. So hopefully soon,
Mm-hmm.
in the next couple months, we'll be doing the next med lab and we'll go from there.
What a
So,
great example of creating a role from this in a way, right? Wait, I don't know what word to say, but like a belly dance tour guide, a
yes,
cultural tour guide, right? I think there's listeners here for sure that are experiencing might be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of this.
yes.
What? Like, yeah, that's
And
amazing.
yeah, I never would have thought about it, before that, like one thing kind of led to another. And so I think that, that saying necessity is the mother of invention. Like I saw a need for my students, and so I found a way to fulfill that. Um, and
Mm,
I and I think that, the same thing happened to me when I made the Fez documentary. Um, you know, my dad and his family started the first Arabic nightclub on the West Coast in
Mm,
1959, and it went on to be like legendary,
huge.
honestly, around the world. And I had no idea. I was a kid and I'm like, oh, everybody grew up in an Arabic restaurant. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
isn't that normal? Um, and so as I grew up in the dance world and I started thinking about these amazing dancers and musicians who have gone on to do amazing work that have affected us around, like globally in our dance world. And oh, this person started at the Fez. Well, that person started at the Fez. Well, this person says my dad had a really huge effect on their dance career. And so I started putting those points together and going, oh, wait a minute. There must have been something special about the Fez.
Kind of
So
a big deal.
it kind of a big deal, but when you're in it, you don't realize it's any different
Yeah.
than anybody else's experience. So, I mean, it took about 10 years that it was just in my head. I thought I was going to write a book because I figured, well, I'm an educator. I can write rather well, and I could probably write a book. And
Mm.
then someone said, no, it should be a film. It's about dancing. And I was like, I don't know how to make a film. I'm a teacher. I have like a very minimal salary. Movies take a lot of money to make, and I can't do that. So then little by little, I started talking to people, and one thing led to another, to another, to another. And I could do a whole talk on how this documentary came about. So I won't go into all the details now, but then it happened, and I made this documentary, and it also kind of became a thing, and hopefully
Interesting.
a great, yeah, great teaching tool for people, and not just about my dad and his family and his restaurant, but sort of the history of our dance community in California and how
Hmm.
that's gone on to affect the rest of the world. So people like Aisha Ali, who was
Mm.
one of the first dancers who went to North Africa with some recording equipment in the 70s and, you know, made what were some of the first documentary films and music of North African music and dance.
Hmm.
She started dancing at the Fez. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
these are the people who I think, well, wow, they're amazing. And how do we document their work
Your world.
for all
Yeah.
of our benefit?
I like that you mentioned how, because again, another thing about, for I think listeners too, and I go through this all the time, you'll see someone, like I heard about you once the Fez came out, like 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And I was like, who's this? I was like, who? Yeah, I'm on the East Coast. And
Yeah.
I was, you know, and I watched it and I was like, oh great. I had assumed it's like, oh, she's like a fancy filmmaker. She knows, she's so experienced. Like I think that what people see too, they don't realize like we're all like you're human. Sometimes you do know the thing already, you've mastered it, you've done it your whole life, and other times you're like, I'm just gonna become a documentary filmmaker and I will figure it out. And
Right.
you
That
know,
is so true. Um, and it's funny because one of the things that I really credit in me being even able to make that documentary is the dance community. I
mm,
mean, we did remember the days of Kickstarters, or it was like
yeah, I
just
used one of those.
before, yeah, GoFundMe. I mean, we did a Kickstarter, we raised the money, and it was the dance community that helped me make this film. Because, like I said, I was like an elementary school teacher at the time and a dancer, and no big budget to
Mhm.
make this 90-minute full-length documentary. But because the community was behind it, they believed in it and they wanted to help me make it, is the reason that it happened. Yes. So I think another big part of the journey and finding your journey is also, we talked about being authentic, but
Mhm.
finding your people. Who's
Yeah.
your audience? Who are the people that are like, I believe in you and what you do, and I want to support you?
Yes. That's such a
Mm.
gift to find that. That's a journey on its own.
Well, true.
you
True.
know, especially it's not really even age specific because sometimes you're just,
Hmm.
it's hard to find your people in general, whether you're really young starting out here or not, you're further on in your role. I would say I'm not of the culture. I'm from a different culture.
Yes.
So when I got into the dance, I got into it in a very institutionalized manner. In the beginning, you know, classes 3, 4 times a week. A wonderful instructor, but an instructor not of the culture was my first instructor. Amazing,
Right.
beautiful human. And then from there, starting to work in the clubs and my clients being Greek and Turkish and Lebanese, right? Starting to learn, starting to party with them, and then going to clubs
Yeah.
myself. And, you know, I love going to clubs. I think that to your point about community, like finding your place in the community really does, that's when you start to think differently. Because when you are in the classroom, you're like, okay, I'm a student. And once you veer out, if that's your starting place, that's the assumption.
Mhm. Yeah.
Once you veer out and you realize that there's a community,
Yeah.
that's when things change. That's when you go, oh, I'm a little fishy. I
Mm.
thought I was top dog in the school. No. Then you say, oh my gosh, there's a whole world out there, and there's so many communities within that whole world. And oh my gosh, and where do I need to fit in? Do I fit in? I'm not even of the culture. What do I do? How, will they accept me? All these things happen once your eyes open, and you can't
True.
shut them again.
Yeah.
And then they keep opening more and more the more you learn. And you realize you're even smaller fishy in a really cool
Yes.
way. So
Yeah.
that has been my experience of starting, and still I'm constant, like the eyes open and go, oh my gosh, now there's so much more to learn here in this subsection of this region of this country. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it will never end. And it's really fun if you're really nerdy like that.
Yes.
It's really
Yeah,
hard.
that's a good point. And I think, part of it is being humble. I mean, I am of the culture and I grew up in the culture of the music and the dance, and I still am always going, "Oh, I didn't know that. Well, okay, I need to learn more about this." Or, I think being humble and understanding that there's just a lot out there. And how fortunate are we that we live in a world now where we're connected by this device.
Mm,
You know what I mean? The internet, where everything is available, and there's just so much that we can use as tools for us to learn.
yeah.
But I think for me, the important thing for any dancer is coming to this dance, understanding that it is a dance of a culture or cultures, and it
That was
has
very cool.
a foundation and a base, and that you can come to it with what is the word I'm looking for? Wanting to learn and understand the culture. Like, you may never do folkloric style dances, you may never be like the dancer of the culture,
Mm-hmm.
but just knowing that there is a culture and accepting and respecting that is important.
Yeah. Once you realize that, it all changes.
Yes. And it does open up a world of other styles
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, that's amazing.
So many. Like, again, all the roles, like we kind of keep going to, and we're going to list a bunch here, but
Hmm.
I think that's all really good context on what the flip we mean by the industry, the community, and there's so many places where you can insert something that's true to you. And we'll get into that a little bit.
Yes.
Um, one of those things that you kind of mentioned is, it is a big world, and now we do see a lot more. And you kind of mentioned that you even have to kind of filter some, not
Hmm.
filter, but like you kind of have to go, wait, oh my gosh, I'm only one human. This is my resources, this is my time, or
Yeah.
this is what's authentic to me. This may be cool, but I'm not even interested in getting into it. Like that's normal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What are some mistakes you made or like areas of growth, lessons learned that you made along the way when choosing a role, or maybe you were in a role and you decided to maybe was like, oh man, this is wrong for me. What the heck was I doing? Tell me a little bit about some of those struggles that you went through.
Oh man. Where do I start? There's so many. Um, I find that, and it's hard for me because I'm coming from a different place than I think most dancers in our community are coming from. Um, but if the sole focus is making money,
Mhm.
then that's going to lead you to places you don't necessarily want to be. And it's gonna do this, right? Like you're gonna chase the dollar, and that's going to maybe make things work for you temporarily, but then it inevitably ends up crashing because it's not authentic. It's not fulfilling. It's not real.
Mhm.
So even if let's say you're from the Midwest somewhere, American person, you know nothing about the culture, you come to our dance form, you learn things, right? And one thing leads to another where you can figure out what is important to you, what is fulfilling, what is meaningful,
Mhm.
and let that guide you. Of course, we want to make money. There's many dancers out there that are here to make a living off the dance. I didn't choose that route. I personally said I don't ever want to make decisions about dance that I need to pay my rent. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Or my car payment.
Gotcha.
So I have the ability to pick and choose. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the
But
luxury.
I realize that not everybody has that, and there are people out there that need to make a living, and so absolutely do that. But how can you make that real and fulfilling as well as profitable?
Fulfilling being the key word for sure.
Yes.
That's the hard part of finding a role, in my
Mhm.
experience, is like what is fulfilling? What is the root of it? What am I chasing?
Yes. And why?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it's hard. Like when I was a lot younger and earlier in my dance career, I live in Hollywood, right? It's Hollywood is Hollywood. Um, and I had a dancer friend who called me one day and was like, "Oh, there's this big party, Hollywood people in the Hollywood Hills, and they
Mm-hmm.
want a belly dancer." And she's like, "They called me, but I can't do it. And so, do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't. I'm a little more on the voluptuous side. I'm not like your typical Hollywood type,
Oh,
right? So I don't know
here
if
you
they're
are. Oh,
pardon."
you cut off after you said I'm a little bit more on the. I think you said voluptuous,
Yes.
and it cut off.
Yeah, that's weird. On the voluptuous side, and I'm not your typical, Hollywood style person. And so she was like, "No, no, they said they want somebody, really of the culture that looks the part." And, so I said, "Okay, well, I went against my gut." And so a big part of this journey thing is go listen to your gut, right?
Mm.
So I got ready. Luckily, a dancer friend of mine who was kind of a student went with me. We drove up there, and if the Hollywood Hills is like a whole, just getting there is hard, right? So you have to park at the bottom of the hill, you have to hike up the stairs and get to the
Oh,
house
God.
where they're having this big Hollywood party. And so I walk in and I go towards the DJ because that's usually the person who's handling the situation, right? And I said, "Hi, I'm Roxanne. I'm here. I'm the belly dancer. I'm here to perform at your show." And he kind of looked at me and he was like, "Oh, nobody called you to tell you that we changed our mind. We don't want a belly dancer after all." And I was
Ah.
like,
Mm,
"Oh, I know what's going on. Like I did not fit the bill for this
mm,
event, right?"
mm.
And I mean, it was heartbreaking. And most of all, I was mad at myself because I knew that I wasn't the right person for this. Right. And so I felt really stupid and like slithered my way out of there, as fast as I could. And, sat in the car with my friend for a while going, like, what am I doing? This is, I obviously don't fit that what idea of what people think of a belly dancer is, even though I'm of the culture of belly dancing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Oh,
But this is
yes.
Hollywood, and I was ready to just quit
Um,
and not dance anymore. Luckily, that same evening, and not far from there, another dancer friend of ours was having a party, and she had said, "Well, come by after you're done with your show. We're going to have some musicians. They're going to be playing, and some dancer friends will be there." And so the girl that was with me was like, "Come on, let's go to our friend's party. Let's, hear some music. You'll feel better." And I was like, okay. So we drove over there, and just walking up to the house, I could hear the live music playing in the living room. And it was just like something inside me just calmed down. And I was like, okay, these are my people.
mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I go in, I just start dancing with everybody and just enjoying myself.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to meet a dancer from another city who had a studio. Oh, I want you to come and teach. And that led to somebody else. Do you know what I mean? So, what was a huge disappointment and almost made me quit dancing turned into like the flip side of that, which,
On the same night.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know what the point of me telling that story was now, but what I can just say is that, there are disappointing times, and there are times where you may be smacked in the face
Mm-hmm.
knowing that this is the wrong thing for you to be doing. Not literally smacked, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That idea of like you're in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you use that to pivot to get to the right place with the right people?
Yeah. Also, on another angle of that is sometimes you feel you are in the right role. You're like, okay, this is what I want to do, right? In that season of life, you're like, this is what I'm meant to do. Let's say if it's your example of like performing for a private party where you started in
Hmm.
Hollywood. Gut for sure. Something shady. But let's say it wasn't, you're like, this is what I want to perform. There's a difference between something feeling off and wrong. Like you kind of literally, you're like, you had that gut. And it's okay. Sometimes life gives you some punches, right? Even if
For
you
sure.
are in the right role, you're like, no, this is what fulfills me at this time. Like I love to perform with my people. Um, it's okay to have like punches, like normal life giving you some wake up calls sometimes. That doesn't
Hmm.
always mean pivot right away. Like you're gonna need endurance and a tough skin in any entertainment
For
field,
sure.
you know? Because I think sometimes especially like younger students right now or younger dancers coming in, they're like, oh, it should just be like easy and flow, you just dance, right? Like, or you just do this, right? Like, I'm like, no, nothing great is usually ever easy. Like you will have strife, but if something's off, like and
Oh,
you're got something shady, weird, oh yeah, like get out
for
of my face.
sure.
I'm with you. But
And
yeah,
so,
body image is definitely something that's in our industry quite a bit
but
here.
it's also changed a lot since then, which is great. Um, and I think also as dancers, and I know a lot of dancers in our community, like myself, you've been in it for a while, and now we're aging, right? And things are changing. And so also finding your, sorry, let me get back to what I was trying to say. Relearning, right? And maybe adjusting your path
Mm,
as, maybe you have a baby, maybe, you take on a stressful job like I did that really changed my trajectory. Maybe as you're aging and body image and all of those things, like there are always reasons that we have to reconsider and pivot and find the new place
yes.
in our journey.
Yes. I wish it could be like almost like status quo where everyone knows what you might have fulfilled you in this season. It's gonna probably change. It's totally normal.
Yes. Well, I think that I think that that's starting to happen with number one, people sharing their journey.
Mm.
Um, I'm trying to think of her name. I just saw her, a dancer in Miami. What is her name? Veronica? No. She
Any
just had a baby.
Valeric, she just did a really cool
Valeric, I'm
reel.
sorry. I literally just saw it this morning. I mean, she's showing her journey of herself. She just had a baby. She's going to do her first gig, and
Yeah.
she's showing that online. And I was like, oh my God, if I was at the age where I was thinking of having children still, this would have been so important to me. And I
Mm,
know, like, I've heard Sadie do some things.
yeah.
I've heard other dancers. The other thing is like, I'm the generation, like one generation older than me. Those dancers are really the pioneers for how we age as dancers and still have careers.
Mm.
Because before that, it was like, oh, you're 40 now? Okay, time to retire,
I
right? It's over.
yeah.
But now you have dancers like Fatine who are, do you know what I mean?
We have a
Seniors.
wow.
Pardon?
Yeah, we have a nice big group of dancers over 40 like
Yeah.
nice and I love at a high level
Mm-hmm.
teaching or performing or
Yes.
producing. I mean, it's amazing.
Yes. And so how do we, and that's why I wanted to come on here and share this, because
Mm.
nobody ever talked about this to me when I was younger as a dancer. I just figured, you perform, you gig until you can't gig anymore, and then it's over.
Thanks. Yeah.
I would have never guessed that, I'm in my 50s now, that I would still be dancing and having some, yes. And, I struggled when I started to say I was in my 50s, to be honest with you, but it's important to know that you can still be healthy, be dancing, be performing, and people want to see that a mature woman or man is dancing, teaching, sponsoring events, sharing their knowledge. You know, those
Yeah.
things are really important.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes, 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 yes. And or as we talk about different kind of fields within it, like we've mentioned, you have the student, you could be a teacher, you could be a performer, you could be a documentarian, you could be a tour guide, a cultural ambassador. What else
Hmm.
have I mentioned? You could be a commercial, there's the private party sector, as I call it, and then there's the commercial
Yes.
entertainment sector. I classify them very distinctly in my own mind. Um, you could be a sponsor, you could be an event
Mhm.
producer. We got podcasts going on nowadays, which is cool.
Yes.
And
Um,
mm,
I think there's a couple things I can add there that are
yes,
also ways to continue to be a part of our community or part of the dance world. There's dancers who have become costume designers. Do you know what I
hmm,
mean? There, I know dancers that have pivoted and become musicians. Do you know
yep,
what I mean? Because they love the music so much, and maybe they, for whatever reason, can't physically dance or choose not to physically dance.
hmm,
They take the route of studying the music and becoming musicians, which I don't know, I think might be in my future
probably mine too.
someday. Yeah.
Honestly, I started as a musician, so I'm always like, oh,
Oh,
I miss it.
really? How
Yeah,
exciting. I want to know more about that, but
another time.
yes, absolutely. Um, I know dancers that have gone on and gotten college degrees and gone to be college professors, which I'm going to just put out there. We need more
Mm,
dancers to document their their dance history, the dance history of their teachers, of their communities. We need dancers to go into the academic world and not start, continue to uh, teach and provide the platform for our dance in academia.
that's a great point.
Yeah.
There's dancers that produce CDs and music for everyone. Just
True.
I have friends
Very
that
much
become
so.
makeup artists. because of the need for it in the dance, or staging, or lighting, or sound team,
Yes.
or like
Yes.
music mixologists, like they'll cut music or translation services. I'm always paying for that. I paid so much
Yeah.
money for that. I'm like, people need
Yeah.
it. It's
You know,
great.
we should come up with a list.
I think
Like,
so. I think we need to, like a little,
yeah,
yes. That'll be our follow up, like, because there's just so many
there
things.
is.
Um, and even combining sometimes your, I always call it like the muggle job if you into Harry Potter, but like the regular working, you know, skills that people have. I have colleagues who have like really cool connections with like nonprofits work. And so that can also be really viable too. When they produce their events, it's like, oh yeah, duh, of course you probably become an event producer or help other people that want to produce an event. Like, there's so many things. So yeah, I think we're gonna have a list for sure after this talk. I need to
I
get
think that's necessary.
yeah.
And you know, there, oh God, it just flew in and out of my brain. It'll come. I'll share it
Okay.
later.
When you need to.
Sorry.
So for those people, I mean, pretty much everyone that's going to ever listen to this or be in the dance industry in some form or fashion, what are some voices when you are just hitting your head against the wall? You know something is out there. You just don't know what it may be or what the next one is yet. So, what are some solutions you can think of to help people when they're just struggling with this?
Yeah. Um, my first and I think the thing that has helped me the most in my career is talking to people.
Mm.
Talk to other dancers, talk to musicians, talk to people that you believe are, important people in your life, guides in your life. I have just found that the more I talk about my ideas, about my projects, and there's the side that says don't share, keep your idea to yourself because, do you know what I mean? You don't want somebody to steal it. I've found the exact opposite. I've found that the more I talked about wanting to make a documentary, the more things came to me and the universe kept dropping things in my lap and it kept happening. Do you know what I mean? So that's the big one. And I think the second thing is, my dad used to always say, art begets art. Do you know what I mean? Go and see. If you're just watching the style of dance, like let's say you like Egyptian style belly dance. If you're only taking classes in Egyptian style belly dancing and only watching videos and Instagram reels of Egyptian dance, then that kind of does this, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a good focus, but sometimes it's limiting.
Hmm.
Watch other dance styles.
Yeah.
Listen to the music. Go to a show, go to a museum, go to listen to live music of the dance form that you do and outside of the dance form that you do. And even outside of belly dance and Middle Eastern dance. Like I've gotten the best ideas watching flamenco or going to a classical music performance. But I think that when you're stuck, the more you reach out and embrace other forms of art, that will inspire you.
That's very true. You can get very boxed in your own brain, being like, but I want to get this. I want to do this style or this thing or this trip
Yeah.
or whatever it may be.
Wow.
That's so true. Uh, it can feel like sometimes people want to force it.
Yes, don't
What
force
do you,
it.
hmm.
Don't force it. That's my mantra for shimmies and for just art in general. Don't force it. Sometimes this is what I do literally when I'm stuck. I put on the music that inspires me, usually in my bedroom or in my little dance room. I turn off the lights and I just feel. Stop pushing and stop forcing. Just feel and let yourself go and relax into it. For dance movements, as well as like, if I'm working on a choreography and I'm stuck, or if I'm working on an idea and I'm stuck,
Mhm.
I find that turning away from the mirror, turning off the lights, putting on music that inspires you, and just feeling it and moving makes wonderful things happen.
Mm. Tell
So,
me a little bit too about how about solutions for, especially whether you're very young, like we have an audience that's really young listening to this, they're adolescents, and then
yeah.
our audience goes all the way to some of my awesome mentors in this industry, up in their 80s and beyond. And so let's say you find your voice as the first example. Let's say this is for like a question for you. You have your voice, but okay,
Sorry.
and and a different season or a different interest is coming about, and now you feel lost again. What do you have advice for finding it
Mm.
again? Because my goodness, this always happens.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Every 5, 10 years, at least.
Yeah. I think just like I kind of mentioned already, I think just talking to people, like who's your dance teacher, who's your mentor?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Go to them, share with them, get some advice from them. Uh, be a beginner again. There's nothing wrong with being a beginner.
Fun.
You know, take let's say you're in one style and all of a sudden you get interested in another style. Go back to being a beginner. Go take the beginning dance classes of that style. Watch
Hmm.
videos of that style. Just let yourself, and it's a beautiful thing to be re-inspired by something new, right? Just like let yourself be a newbie again and just be excited and roll with it. Do you know what I mean? One of
Yeah.
the things, and this is sort of going back to what I was talking about earlier about going and seeing other shows and other things.
Mhm.
I notice these days the dancers only go to things if they're in it. Like, I'm only going to go see that show because I'm performing in it. Or I'm gonna
Oh,
only attend that
okay.
festival if I'm performing in it, and they
Mm,
don't go to anything else. And that is so detrimental, I feel.
yeah.
You know, support the people in your local
Community.
community. Go to their events as just go as an audience member.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
For
Spend a
sure.
few dollars, go support their event. Go and just sometimes just being an audience member is also really
You learn a lot.
helpful. Yeah,
You learn a ton.
you do.
Hmm.
You do. What you learn what you should do. Sometimes you learn what you shouldn't do. You learn what is for you and what is not for you.
Hmm.
You know, and sometimes you just go and enjoy. Like I watch a lot of North African dance. I love it, man. It lights a fire in me. But I also have to say to myself, I don't, right, in my life, right, being realistic about my very demanding job, the dance stuff that I'm already doing, like I don't have the time or the energy to
Mm.
learn a new style, right?
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean I can't go enjoy it and watch it and be inspired by it.
For sure.
You know, we don't have to turn everything that we love into a hustle. You can just, I love flamenco.
Yeah.
I'll go watch flamenco all the time. And there's a little thing in me that just gets all about flamenco. And I just go, I don't have enough time in my life for another
Mm.
passion, but I can still enjoy it. So
That's so
don't
real.
try, yeah, don't try to turn everything into a hustle.
I'm gonna
You
put that
know,
in quotes. Don't try to turn it. That's
right?
very much what it could feel like in social media, like what it can try to make
Yes.
people think is what you got to do in a way. So I love
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Um, Solutions. What about the audience? About who you're trying to reach. How can they
Mhm.
find who their people and their audience is?
That's a great question. And I wish I had a simple answer for it. I think. Um, I think trusting your gut a
Mhm.
lot of the time, you know, and watch your audience and see how they react to what you're
Mhm.
doing and what you're trying and what you're presenting. Uh, People generally don't hide how they feel. Do you know what I mean? And if you're trying to present something to your audience, whether it's in performance or just in trying to find who your people are,
Mhm.
that's it's gonna present itself to you. So you have to listen and you have to pay attention and be open. I think the biggest mistake I see dancers make is they think they know already. And
Mhm.
so they're not willing to listen to what they hear, what people share. So I really do think that the most important thing is like listening, observing, and trusting your gut.
Very wise. Yes.
And
Yes.
I know that's not like a simple one, two, three answer of how to do it, but
It makes a
sure.
lot of sense, especially when you are, if you're, I mean, it applies to anyone, but especially a lot of the audience, myself included, not of the culture. And so when you get in it or you start to get in it and you say, if you would have just gone and like asked questions first to
Yes.
your intended audience or community, or done, certain things or research before directly to the source, probably would have saved a
Yeah,
lot of time and
for
years
sure.
and
And
energy.
there's so many dancers of the culture, dancers, experienced dancers out there that are
Mhm.
happy to help you. Like if you're listening to this and you have a question, you're welcome to reach out to me anytime. Send me an email. I'm happy to like provide some answers. Most dancers I know, especially dancers of the culture, they just get fed up because they share or they try to help and dancers don't want to listen.
Oh,
And so honestly, I think there's more help and information out there than you think there is.
mhm.
Like take advantage. And so what? Like if you reach out to someone and they're like, "Okay, I'm happy to help you, but pay for a private lesson." Well, there you go. Pay for a private lesson, get the info you need. But there's no excuse today in 2025 to say you could not get the information.
Very true.
I am sorry, but there's everything is on the internet, the good and the bad. Maybe you can't distinguish between what you should be following, what you shouldn't be following, but there's people to ask, there's online courses, there's resources everywhere. So take advantage of those.
I love that. Yes, it's so true.
And maybe I'm just going to add one more thing.
Yeah, keep going.
Sorry, I get
Get,
excited and I can't
let's
stop,
keep it. Keep it going.
right? Maybe you're never going to dance to people of the culture. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you're in somewhere where you're just like just say, normal belly dancer, you go dance at whatever parties for American people, let's say,
Hmm.
non-Arabic people. That's fine. We're not saying you have to be like the Fifi Abdu or you can't
Yeah.
always be like the most Egyptian dancer that there is, but you can know about the culture and you can know about the dance, how the dance fits in the culture, how the culture affects the dance, and you can understand it on a foundational level,
Hmm.
right? That doesn't mean that you can't do fusion, right? I mean, that doesn't mean you can't do other things, but you can be an educated, informed dancer and understand the culture that of the dance that you're doing.
I love that. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 100%. Oh my God, I love that you said that. I need to quote that too.
Please do. Feel free.
Before we get into some, if you guys have any questions, please leave
Mm.
them now and don't be shy. We'll make sure to read them or any commentary. I'm just going to add to that something that helped me personally, and I've always told my friends,
Mm.
colleagues, my students, is I'm very nerdy in my muggle job. So I'm a person that audits, and I audit my like thoughts in life periodically. So, and I'm also like very like if I want to do something, I just do it. I don't even think. I'm just like just freaking do it. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to fail big whoop, right? And that
Yeah.
alone can be challenging for a lot of people. They don't like to fail. It's a whole other topic. But what I will say is experiment, collect the data. Maybe it's a field, a
Yes.
vibe check, monetary, so many criteria you could put in whatever it is that you're trying to audit. And then ask those closest to you for their advice. Like, again, you can have internal data, you can have external data you collect. Think of it like like truly an audit, like something,
Yeah.
this is where my brain goes. And do this in a reasonable time frame. So if you're like, I need to do X thing, I really feel this is my role in my calling in life. I want to try this thing. Okay, great. Put a deadline, do the things, have a plan, audit what the heck happened, what went wrong, what was great, what data points need to make better, what data points are really weak, what data points are really strong, you're good there.
Yes.
That might help you find that thing or that next thing sooner. Just
Absolutely. And people, people understand when you say I'm playing with this idea or I'm experimenting with something. You know what I mean? That, you know, I love that idea. I think that that's just such a good way to go about it because I'm also in my muggle job, I have to do exactly that,
mm-hmm.
right? Here's a tip you just made me realize. Um, Over the years, I've had at different times groups of dancers that we get together and we just like, hey, I'm working on this choreography or I have this idea for this performance, and we just present it to each other and give each other feedback.
Love
Like
that.
a
Yeah.
little like a working group. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yes.
And of course, it has to be dancers that you feel comfortable with, that you trust their opinion.
Mhm.
Um, and so maybe it's sometimes 4 or 5 people we get together at somebody's house and
Mhm.
just perform for each other. Or, hey, I'm stuck and I want to dance to this music and,
Mhm.
help me get through that. And so sometimes, right, that's really good data to have. You
Yes,
know,
that's like the high level when you have your tribe. That's like the most
you try.
beautiful
Yeah.
stuff. Look at this, and a fellow Muggle job worker, Tony Tahan in the house. Hi, Tony.
Oh, hi. Aw.
Yes. All right, everyone. Let me go ahead and look through just to see if any questions, commentary were left. I saw a lot of hearts earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of
Thanks,
hearts.
everybody, for the hearts.
Thank you, everyone, for joining too. Let's see anything here. Oh, that's you. Val.
Mm, feel
Maver,
free.
Maver de la Cruz, PhD. Oh, okay, Amardina.
If you
Another.
don't, yeah, Maver is amazing. She is out there in the academic world,
I will look her up.
teaching and holding it down. So you should
Love,
know about Maver if you don't.
will do. Okay, I don't see any questions in there, so no worries there. Oh, here we go. What would you do if you were starting dance today? What
Oh,
would you do as your
that's
role?
that's a great question.
Cool.
Let's say of any dance form, let's say I keep using flamenco as an
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
I would do a little research and I would find out if I was starting flamenco dancing today, I would do a little research on who are the teachers in my community that know their stuff. I'm always going to try to find a dancer of the culture first, personally. And if that is a dancer of the culture isn't available, who are the dancers that, you
They've done their homework.
they've done their homework and they know their stuff.
Hmm.
And I would start there. And then I would YouTube is a great tool. There's so much out there to, even if you're not learning on YouTube, but it's helping you kind of go, I like this, I don't like that. I want to try this style. I don't want to try that style. You know, I would be reading books about it. I would be, and I don't want to overwhelm you with too many things, but I would say number one, do your research on who you're going to take a class from, and don't just take your first class from anybody, just anybody.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if you have to do that to get yourself started, you're taking your belly dance 101 at your local gym. Take it, get into it, feel it, see if it's for you, and then start doing some research about how you're going to go deeper with what teacher, and go from there. And go watch it as much as you can. See it live. If you can go places where you can see belly dancing in person, that's always, I feel like, the best way, you know,
Yeah.
because we see a lot on video, but video is so crafted a lot of times. You want to see the person in the moment, and especially if you are brand new to belly dancing, if you can go see a belly dancer dancing live to live music, and I am the biggest proponent of live music as much as possible. That is really the key, because a dancer dancing live to live music is very different than
Very
everything
different.
else you see.
We have one more question.
Okay.
Rak, and forgive me if I butcher the pronunciation, Rak Isasin. She'll
Hmm.
say, if you're restarting after, say, a decade, and
Hmm.
you started in the 1980s, how would you approach it both mentally, emotionally, and physically, please, today?
Oh, that's a great question. And you know what's funny? Like, I I live in LA, so right, we have every kind of culture here. I used to love to go salsa dancing, and I wasn't great, but I could do the basics of salsa dancing. And then I just got busy and I wasn't able to do it for the longest time. And last week I was at a work retreat, and one of the activities they had was one of the people taught like a basic
Awesome.
salsa class. And I
Awesome.
was like, I'm gonna do it. And so after a gazillion years of never salsa dancing, just taking that one little basic class of going 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, I was like, oh, right, I can still do this. My body can still move in this way. Maybe not as fast, maybe not as hard, but I can still do step one.
Hmm.
And I use that as an example for this style of dancing. Just go take a beginner class again and feel safe again and feel comfortable again and go from there. Like if you took a beginning class and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot how easy this was. I'm going to go to the next intermediate class or whatever. Um, or you take that beginning class and you're like, ooh, I'm more rusty than I expected to be. Keep taking that beginning class. But I just say start with step one and go slow, but enjoy it, you
Enjoy
know?
the journey.
Enjoy the journey. Because if you're pushing and you're making it hard and you feel bad, that's not good for anybody. So, yeah.
Quick announcement for everyone here because we're going to be wrapping up here shortly. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
already?
I know, it goes
Yeah,
like this.
it
Just want to
does.
announce for everyone listening and that will listen to this after the Fez Night's 10-year anniversary is
Yes.
here. So
Yeah,
it's going to be a live belly dance show with a live Arabic music because you know Miss Roxanne loves her live music, of course.
always.
Food, you know, the way that it happens in the culture. That's going to be how it's going to be celebrated here. Only a handful of dancers are dancing that were like originally there, a longer set, 12 minutes or so, so they can show their artistry just like the back in the good old days of the fest.
Yes.
So the show is going to be live streamed. It's going to happen in early 2026. So be on the lookout and follow Roxanne. You can find her info after this. I'll publish the video and much more on YouTube, etc. So you can go and follow her, like her, follow her work and what she's doing. It's pretty neat. I can't believe it's already been 10 years. I rewatched it this year because I was like,
I
oh my
know.
God, it's been 10
Actually,
years.
this month, it's 10 years ago this month that the Fez documentary came out.
Yes, very intentional this month's
Yes.
our speaker. So, any closing remarks for anyone listening? What do you want to tell everyone
I
that's
want
in the future?
I want to add one more thing that I just thought
Oh,
about,
yeah.
which is um, dance on film is a
Uh,
big thing. And I was co-sponsoring the Rocks Film Festival, which has now become part of Al Rocks Conference, which is happening in January as well. So another way that you can branch out in your dance world is filming dance. Um, and that's another really exciting way to, fulfill your artistic vision. But what I want to say is that our dance form, belly dance, for lack of a better term, is such a rich, wonderful dance. There's so much that can be done. And there's so many resources out there that don't be afraid to try something new or go in a different direction, but just be true to yourself, sit and meditate on it or just talk to people and figure out what your path is. I'm sure that there are dancers out there that have things to offer that we haven't even considered yet.
yeah.
Um, but uh, look for it and it will find you. And I'm excited to see all the amazing things that will come in the future of our dance form. So thank you for the time and for the space to share my thoughts with you.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing everything. Every time I'm like, it takes a lot of bravery to talk about mistakes, learning, the
Hmm.
journey. So thank you. If you'd like to know where her documentary and just her website, it's roxanne.net. Two X's, two N's. It's roxanne.net. And again, I'll also put it in any podcast uploads once I do that by next
Thank you.
week. So, not to worry. And our last comment, exciting. Thank you so much for this. I could listen to Roxanne all
Thank you.
day.
Oh,
Thank you, Roxanne.
yeah.
Enjoy your evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Mwah. Until
And
next month,
thank you,
everyone.
Jennifer.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.